What is up, Niner gang? Got my boy Vish in the house, man. It's pretty damn dope. Really, I want to say real quick, man. First and foremost, I appreciate you. Like for me, it's very surreal. All the guys that I'm starting to have on my show, because all the guys that I'm having is like people that inspired me to not only listen to 49ers content on YouTube. Yeah, I discovered it, man, but it inspired me to do something with it too, as well, man. So thank you very much, man. You want to tell us how your day's going?
Yeah, my day is going really well. I don't really have anything new really going on. It's just, it's just football, work, working out. Just, I live a very kind of boring life, I would say. So when you ask me about my day, I'm sitting here trying to think and trying to give you something interesting, and I don't have anything.
Yeah, no, as long as you're feeling good today, man, that's what counts. You know,
I'm feeling good every day, man.
hell yeah, that's what's up, man. Got to appreciate every day of life is a gift, man. But I want to start one of the first ones. Well, real quick before we get going, please everybody like and subscribe. Um, I'm sure you guys all know Vish, and this is an honor for me to have him, just like some of the other guys as well. If you guys haven't subbed him up, go check him out at the Vish Kumaran show. Yeah, so very awesome to have him on the show. I'm gonna have some of the topics at the bottom of the screen scrolling across. But first and foremost, man, I want to know a little bit about the history of Vish Kumaran with the 49ers, man. So if it's not too personal, if you could let us know how you got into this stuff.
Yeah. So I'm a little different, right? Because I live in the Midwest. I was born and brought up in the Midwest my entire life, but I'm a 49ers fan, like a diehard 49ers fan. How I got into it is actually my dad. My dad's a really big 49ers fan. Um, and
Hell
he
yeah.
got me into football. And so my dad is a first generation immigrant. I'm a first generation American. My dad was an immigrant. And he came to this country and he was doing his PhD. And when he was doing his PhD, his roommate, this was in the early 90s, was a Dallas Cowboys fan. And my dad got into football originally to tick this guy off. So this guy was a Cowboys fan. It was early 90s, Niners Cowboys rivalry. And my
Mm-hmm.
dad became a Niners fan because he just wanted to irritate this dude by, because the Niners and Cowboys rivalry. So he just wanted to take the other side of the rivalry. And that turned into him getting really, really into it. And so when I was little, and so I have a weird thing where I can remember a lot of things and I can remember things from my childhood. It's just a weird thing. So like I remember these things. Don't ask me how, don't ask me why. I just remember
Yeah.
these things. But when I was little, I remember when I was like 3 or 4 years old, me and my sister used to always fight with my dad about what to watch on TV because my dad always wanted to watch football and we didn't want to watch football. And I actually remember the first game I watched. That's why this is relevant. Because the first game I
Oh
watched
yeah.
with my dad was the '04 wild card in the playoffs with the Mark Bulger Rams against the Seattle Seahawks wild card in the playoffs. And I remember distinctly asking my dad who he was cheering for. I didn't know that these two teams were rivals in the Niners at the time or anything.
Yeah.
And he was cheering for the Rams at the time in that game.
What?
So I also
Oh.
was cheering for the Rams. It was Rams
Yeah.
Seahawks.
Yeah.
And then so I cheered for the Rams in that game and I got hooked. And from then, my dad's always been really obsessed into the fandom. He's really into it. He watches every game, he reads everything. Like that's his hobby. And I was hooked with him from there. And so I remember getting ready for the 2005 draft, being so excited when they drafted Alex Smith. Um, I remember crying after so many Niners losses as a kid, and man, there were
Yeah.
so many of them. But I was into it so quickly.
Mm.
And from then and there, I was obsessed with the entire sport. So I used to be like a party trick for my parents when we would go to parties because I would have, the top 10 quarterbacks in passing yards memorized with their stats, their attempts, completions, yards, touchdowns, completion percentage. I would be able to list it all from memory. And so I would just rattle it off. And I'm sure it annoyed the hell out of so many people, but I was really, really into it from then. And it's just been like from then on, I've always been like that obsessed with it. It's obviously it's a hobby. That's really
Mhm.
all it is. It's a fandom, but
Yeah.
I'm a little obsessive about the fandom. So I spend probably more time on it than the average fan. And that's where I think it's funny when I interact with people, because people talk to me about content and all these things. Like, they don't know how obsessed I was before not a soul knew who I was, before I even did a single show of these things. Like, I was equally obsessed in watching all of these things, researching all these stats. It's something that, it's like my buzz in life, that, it's my like hobby. It's what gets me going. So I do it no matter what. It's just nice to do it now, and it's nice to now share it with such a large community of fans, creators, peers, so many different kinds of people. It's amazing.
That's awesome, bro. Yeah, it's really cool, like the whole YouTube thing too, because I mean, I'm in Cardinals territory. I'm here in Arizona now. I was talking to you backstage about I'm from California originally, grew up there and everything. So plenty of Niner fans everywhere. And I kind of went the different route. I was very passionate as well, but instead of crying, I would get super pissed off, man. I wanted to fight somebody. But like I remember the Saints in the playoffs versus Alex Smith, and man, it was just rough to see all the trials and tribulations that Alex Smith went through, man, and then to see that success that he was having, and then the Giants come out and beat us in the NFC Championship
Man,
after Kyle Williams, man, and oh my God, I was so
man,
pissed off.
that was one of that was some of the harder days. And I mean this is a joke, but it was one of some of the harder days of my childhood where, and that was the first time the Niners were winning. And
Yeah.
I was, as were many kids in middle school. Like, Monday, we wear whatever jersey we wear, the same jersey. Every Monday, we all wear whatever jersey to school. And I had a Michael Crabtree and a Patrick Willis jersey. And I
Hey,
used to
that's
wear
what's
the
up, man.
Patrick Willis jersey on Friday and the Michael Crabtree jersey on Monday. And that was the first time the Niners would start winning. And that was the
Mhm.
first time, like, in my childhood, they were winning. So I'd go to school, chest puffed out. The Niners are winning, on top of the world, right? Not a damn thing else
Yep.
matters because the Niners won on Sunday. And man, when they lost in those games, like, I knew, because I was also talking. Like, you go to lunch, you have those lunch debates,
Yeah.
everybody's quoting the three things they heard from Sports Center. We're yelling at each other, "You're stupid, you're stupid."
Oh
And
man.
I'd been chirping throughout the year because, that was the Niners were finally good, all of that. Man, I feared going to school and sitting in lunch and having to take it just in my ear, bang,
Yeah.
bang, bang. But a lot of this, I'm being rather facetious. Like, obviously it's not the worst thing that happened in my childhood, all of that.
Yeah.
But um, I guess
There
it's
were
fun
peaks
to,
and valleys.
right. It's fun to just
Yeah.
reminisce on the
Hell yeah, man.
feelings. Yeah.
And really going back to where you're talking about with the lunchroom talk, man. I was listening to Wayne Breezy a little while ago with John Chapman, and they were talking about and this is exactly what I'm talking about with the YouTube community. It's awesome because the kids nowadays, they have it so good with this convenience of YouTube and everything for the 49ers. Really, before we'd have to watch like NFL Network and have to wait
Yeah.
like a whole hour till they did like a 2-minute segment on the
Yeah.
49ers. And then if you missed
They
any little part of it, there was no rewind, no nothing. You have to wait another hour to hear about the 49ers again. So go ahead, bro.
So I'm a little bit older now, right? Well, not a little bit older. I'm still very quite young, but I guess I'm older than the kids. Like, I'm officially an adult, and so I can
Yeah.
say it. And I know generations before me are gonna say, "Well, you had it this way." You real people know, but man, I remember the pain of, at after 6 o'clock on NFL Network, Game Day Final would be playing on loop every hour, and it would have
Yep.
Rich Eisen, Michael Irvin, Deion Sanders, and Marshall Falk. I think it was those four guys, and they would have a show. And especially in 2011, because it was happening more. But after a Niners win, the real ones know the struggle of having to keep changing the channels between that and the Sunday night games so you can hear that 3-minute window of
Yeah.
Rich Eisen calling the highlights, and then you get
Mm.
to hear Deion Sanders and Michael Irvin say whatever, opinion they had, and whatever they said was going to kind of make or break your day about how you feel about the Niners. And then the day before, NFL Network used to have that playbook show with Sterling Sharp and Brian Baldinger, and they would break down
Yeah.
every
Okay.
NFC
Yeah.
matchup. And you would also have to watch for whatever 5 minutes you would get of the Niners. So yeah,
For
like
real, man.
Grant being like the resource that posts like a video every hour, like man, you're bathing in Niners content. Like before, we used to get nothing.
Yeah. 100%, bro, because that's how I got started. And of course, I got introduced to you and everything, man. And it was like I would be sitting at work, you guys would do like an hour video, and I still got 7 more hours of work. So I'm like, now what? And then I started learning about more and more content creators. So that's good. I got my day filled now. Now I'm overwhelmed. So that's the thing. But there was something you talked about that kind of segued into this, man. And I play Madden. I don't know if you play Madden. If you do, we gotta link up
Nah,
sometime. Okay. Well, I
nah.
play Madden, man, and something popped up on my YouTube feed about 2 of the Madden champions, this and that. And I watched it real quick because it was talking about their playbook. But it turned out one of those guys had played Cam Newton, and he's really good. And so you hear the back and forth between them over the microphones. And the Madden champions kind of picking Cam Newton's brain while they're playing. He's like, "Yeah, man. So what defense do you think I'm in right now?" He's all, "It looks like you got like a cover 2 and this and that, right?" But he asked him a question. He's like, and really to point at Cam Newton, he was really smart about it too. So that was cool. But the dude asked him, "In your time playing, what was the toughest defense you faced?" And he said it was a toss-up between the 49ers 2013 defense and the Seahawks Legion of Boom. So that was a huge compliment right there,
Yeah,
man. I was surprised to hear that. Go ahead.
makes a lot of sense, right? I mean,
Yeah.
the 49ers, I think the 49ers 2011 defense was actually the best iteration of those three defenses, funnily enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, the 2013 one was pretty special, and then the 2012 one was pretty special too. But it was a great scheme with Vic Fangio. I mean, it's the scheme everybody runs now. And you had talent galore, right? Alden Smith
100%.
was a Hall of Fame caliber player. Navarro Bowman was a 4 or 5-time All Pro. Patrick Willis is going to the Hall of Fame.
Hell
Justin
yeah,
Smith
man.
should have won Defensive Player of the Year in 2011. Ray McDonald was really good. Ahmad Brooks was really good. Terrell Brown was good. Dante Whitner, Deshaun Goldson. It was
Alden
such a good
Smith.
defense. And
Yeah.
then I think Seattle 2013 is the Legion of Boom is the best defense of all time. The way they suffocated offenses, and then Seattle scheme, everybody wanted to run the Seattle scheme for how many years? So
Yeah.
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I'm not shocked that he said that. Cam actually had decent success against the Legion of Boom too. He was one of the quarterbacks that actually played a bit better against them. I mean, nobody really played great against them. I said it. I think they're the greatest defense. Maybe
Yeah.
that 2000 Ravens, maybe, but yeah, I think yeah.
Yeah, I think the debate probably would be between 2011 and 2012, in my opinion, for sure. And it sounds like you would agree on that. But I don't
Yep.
remember if I don't think we played the Panthers in those years. Was probably the reasoning
No,
behind his opinion towards that. So yeah, I
I think they
totally get that.
played the Panthers in 2012. I want to
Maybe.
say.
Yeah, I don't
No,
remember
they played them in
because
2013 in the regular season. They lost to them right
I
after their
was
bye. It was a really ugly, low-scoring football game. And then they played them in the playoffs, of course, when they came back and when they beat them and Kaepernick did the Superman in Cam's house.
oh
That was
yeah.
an awesome moment.
Yeah, they
And
were
then he
pissed
buttoned
about
it
that. Yeah.
up and Kaepernick, yeah, that was an incredible moment.
Yep, classic for sure, man.
Iconic.
Uh, can I get your thoughts on the recent signing of Janoris Jenkins? I know it's not huge news, but I mean, I've been wanting a corner for a while. I was surprised it came like they waited this long for it. Same thing with defensive tackle, but we got somebody, a veteran. So can I get some of your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it was actually a good move. Jenkins is, I mean, he's a declining player now because of age, but
Yeah.
he was a very good player in his day. He's very aggressive. He's good in man coverage. Heck, he was a 5-star recruit. Went to Florida. It's a pretty big deal. I remember.
Oh
for a
yeah.
while. But yeah, he's a good player. But I think the biggest reason why they signed him is because they're one injury away at cornerback right now, from
Yep.
things getting ugly. And I don't think, he's going to stay on the practice squad just because of financial reasons, but he is the next guy up, in my opinion. If Mooney Ward gets hurt and is out now for 3 games, or Diamador Lenore gets hurt, I don't think Womack or Ambry Thomas would play. I think Janoris Jenkins would play ahead of them. At this point,
Yeah.
I'm not sure they're ready for Womack or Ambry Thomas to play on defense. Womack, I would say it's a case that he's just a young player, needs to grow. Ambry Thomas, what's happening right now in his career is a little bit disconcerting. But again, he's also a young guy. It's tough to, place anything and puts equity into anything. But like you said, they did need a veteran in that position. And they needed somebody that they could rely upon to play in a pinch. And now they have that guy.
100%, man. I don't think he's going to be as bad as Norman. That was another veteran, but I think that was that
Nah,
was
he'll be better than that. And even Norman,
yeah.
for all the bad Norman did, he used to force a fumble a game. So
That's what I
keep
was
that in
saying. So
mind.
it's like he was like a net zero corner because yeah, he had the mistakes, but he had the beautiful peanut
Right.
punches like all the time too. So it wasn't so negative, but it wasn't very positive either. But
No, it was pretty negative. It was just that there was some positive with the
well, yeah,
forced fumbles.
yeah, I'm talking about because of adding the positive element to it.
Nah,
But
I got you. I'm just messing with you.
yeah, so like okay, so the 49ers, they're not asking their corners to play too much man in the first place. So that's why I completely agree with you, man. If Lenore goes down, because one of the first things I looked at when Charvarius Ward got signed was his health, his health history. And this dude, he's only missed like 1 game in his whole
Yeah, he's
career.
steady. He starts.
So he's badass, man. He knows how to stay healthy. I love that about him. So it's going to be about Diamador Lenore. I always have trouble with that name. But if he goes down, then yeah, Ambry Thomas. And I don't understand what the hell happened with him. With all the promise he showed towards the back end of last year.
See,
I don't get it. Go ahead.
that's the thing. So I'm gonna say something, and this is where it becomes a little bit hard. Um, when you're a fan and you see a player that the team drafted that's young and
Hmm.
he's playing, you want to elevate what he's doing because he's playing. They played a lot of cloud coverage. They did a lot of
Yeah.
things to show that they weren't trusting Ambry Thomas to play. In fact, I said that after the way Dante Johnson played at Green Bay, I thought Dante Johnson should have started in the NFC Championship game as well. Just as a veteran player, I thought
The
he was just
veteran.
more assured than Ambry Thomas. They didn't do that. They played the young guy. And Ambry Thomas did have a tough game in the NFC Championship game. I mean, most corners are going to have tough games against Odell
Yeah.
Beckham Jr., but he did have a tough game. But what I mean to say is that it wasn't as good maybe as people thought it was going into this offseason. Now, it certainly wasn't as bad as this offseason sounded, right? He sounded like he was the
Yeah.
worst player in training camp, pretty much according to everybody. And it sounds like he only really made this roster because he doesn't play special teams. Really, he only made this roster because of his draft status.
Yeah, I think okay, so
So,
like the reason I put it that way was
uh-huh.
because like you said, the cloud coverage, and that's why I'm saying Janoris Jenkins, he has an opportunity to have some success here too, where he can kind of just sit in zone and hopefully create some turnovers, as well
Right.
as help those younger guys kind of develop in that aspect of the game. But with Ambry, yeah, same thing. He just showed that he wasn't as big of a liability as Josh Norman was in coverage, was the thing. So I thought, they were going to
Exactly.
continue to develop him. So that's where I saw the promise. I was like, okay, it's not a huge drop off like Norman is in coverage. So I
But
was
that's what I'm
encouraged. Yeah.
saying. The development could be there. It's just that development for him, you're now looking at a perspective against better competition. And a lot of these corners are playing well. Like Diamador
Yeah.
Lenore is playing his ass off
Hell yeah.
right now. He's playing pretty good football. And I think the biggest thing that I think you brought up the best point right there is that what Janoris Jenkins is going to allow them to do is if one of these corners get hurt, they don't have to change how they call a game because they have Ambry Thomas in the game, because they have Josh Norman in the game.
Yeah.
They can call their defense as is, right?
Yeah.
Now, they did have to make changes between Emmanuel Mosley and Diamador Lenore. And that's because there's a talent discrepancy. Emmanuel Mosley's a bigger human being. Emmanuel Mosley's just a better athlete. He's just a much better football player than Diamador Lenore. And so they did have to change how they called the game a little bit. Now they're playing a lot more zone and playing man on very specific downs, depending on how they match things up.
Yeah.
They were playing a lot more man earlier in the season. But I say all of that to say that between Diamador Lenore and Janoris Jenkins, yes, Lenore is the better player, but physically you're not looking at players that are that far apart that, okay, I have to change how I call the defense. Because really, when it comes to playing corner, you're talking about really technique and understanding of the defense and what they're doing to stop certain pass concepts. And then physically, how well do you move, right? Like, best athletes play corner. It's pretty simple. To play corner in the outside in the NFL, you have to be able to stop a go ball, which means you have to be fast as hell. You have to run 4-3-4-4. It matters. And so
agility is super important.
Exactly. And so like that's why when you do that raw comparison, because like it's hard, right? Because Jenkins hasn't played the entire season, or he has, but like he's not been on a team. They just signed him. And Lenore has been starting and playing great football, but you just have to look at their individual skill sets and say, can Jenkins replicate what Lenore does? And I would say in a pinch, if Lenore gets hurt, he can't. And I don't think Ambry Thomas or Sam Womack can at this point, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and Ambry Thomas has gotten more playing time than Dante Johnson this year, man. So we might see if Janoris Jenkins and Dante Johnson, who comes out of that one, a winner too. But
it looks like Dante is looked at as the extra at safety and nickel. I don't think more sense. Yeah, I don't think they're looking at him as I think obviously he's their kind of utility guy that does everything in a pinch.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're viewing him as the outside corner. And it makes sense why, right? Dante Johnson, for all his strengths, he's a little slower than some of these guys.
And that's
we just talked about the importance of speed.
A lot of aging corners, they tend to move to safety and not the other way around.
Right.
Yeah, so if he's
one position you have to run 4-3, one position you can run 4-5.
Oh, for real. So I want to get your thoughts real quick, man, because in my opinion, I think Jimmy Ward should be back at safety now. I love what Tayshaun Gibson's doing, mostly for respect, man. But I think it's time you don't lose your job to injury. Do you have any thoughts and feelings about how they're handling the Jimmy Ward thing right now? Because he has the cast off. I think it's time.
I agree with you that you don't lose your job to injury. And I think that that's the case in a lot of ways. And I do agree with you from Jimmy Ward's perspective. He's the longest tenured player on this team. He's just had 3, Pro Bowl, all-pro type seasons at safety. He gets hurt. He's a captain of this football team, and you're making him change positions. Like, this is Jimmy Ward. Other people should change positions for him, right? So, like, from a respect standpoint, I totally get it. But then from the Niners standpoint, I also get it. You're trying to unobjectively put the best 11 players on the field at the same time to give you the best chance to win on Sunday. And right now, there's a big difference between where Ward is and where Womack is. And there's a big difference when you have Lenore, Womack, and Ward with Gibson at corner, and then you have Ward at safety with Lenore, Womack, and Ward at Ward and Ward make this hard, but Mooney, Ward, you get it. Yeah, okay, yeah.
Mooney
at
and Jimmy.
corner, there is, and so because of that, Gibson's like a veteran player, and he's kind of providing them the steady presence that Tart provided last year. And I think they'd argue on a lot of important downs, they went to 3 safety looks, and they would have Hufanga kind of be a middle hook player, an extra linebacker at times, sometimes a blitzer. They would have Gibson, who what Tart was doing, which was be the post safety, be the guy deep that, understands route concepts, understands angles, understands how to do his job and play top down. And then they would put Jimmy Ward a lot at the time in the slot, and he would play basically as a nickel, but now you're just manning him up on a tight end. You're manning him up on whatever slot receiver. So I understand that thought process too, where like, hey, 50% of our defense, Jimmy Ward was already having to come down and play as a quasi nickel. So like, why not just do this 100% of the time? Gibson's playing well, all of that. So I kind of just get both perspectives. And I understand you asked me a question. You didn't bring me on to waffle. But really, that's what I got for you. I have both perspectives. I get it. I don't think it's really a case of this is something the Niners are doing that's anti Jimmy Ward, but at the same time, I
Yeah,
also think what they're doing is hurting Jimmy Ward because Jimmy
yeah,
Ward is going to enter free agency not as a nickel, as a safety. And you're ridding him 1 year where he can put another year of great safety film and he can go into the market at 32, his last chance at a big payday, and, get a 2-year deal that pays him $10 million a year and get one more shot at some money.
yeah. Just personnel wise, man, I think they should be. I haven't seen how much they've been doing it, but Jimmy Ward's the lockdown on tight ends, right? He's the eliminator. But I think Womack should be out there more for the nickel receivers in the slot, right? That's how I feel about it. I feel like Jimmy Ward is a step slower than the typical corner. So that would be another reason to put him at safety for me. But yeah, I'm kind of like you too, where I completely understand it in a way, but I'm kind of caught in the middle. I think Jimmy Ward should be back. I think he's more solid than Gibson is. We're just gonna have to
He's a
wait and
better
see, I guess.
football player than Gibson. There's no doubt about
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
And that's
But
nothing against Gibson. He's played good, but man, Jimmy Ward's Jimmy Ward.
of course, 100%. He definitely exceeded expectations, so that's great in itself, right there. But I was a little worried, man, with all the shots that Jimmy Garoppolo, another Jimmy on this team, was taking in this game, man. I couldn't stand some of the offensive line play, all the pressures that were going on. But there was the report afterwards that his knee is still sore, so that's worrisome. I saw him grimacing on the ground. How do you feel about this, man? And then we'll get into some of the Trey Lance stuff too a little bit.
Yeah, it's part of it, right?
Yeah,
Quarterbacks are gonna be sore. You're gonna have games. Jimmy G is hella tough. We've seen it. He stands in there. He competes his butt off. Yeah, it sucks. You would like him to be 100% every week, but it happens. You got to battle through it. I mean, in my lifetime, and I don't want to sound desensitized to it because obviously you understand the plight of the football player absolutely first, what they're putting on the line, the violence of the game, all of these things. But at the same time, in my lifetime, I feel like it's always been an understanding that the quarterback plays through anything that doesn't, they don't get they don't have to go get surgery that makes
yeah,
them physically incapable of playing. I feel like for all the other positions dealing with more collisions and hits, I feel like quarterbacks play through sprained ankles, they play through pulled hamstrings, pulled quads. I remember Aaron Rodgers played with a torn calf. Tom Brady's played with sprained ankles. They play through. Philip Rivers played with the torn
yeah,
ACL. They play through shoulder injuries. Baker Mayfield played with a torn shoulder last year. All of that. It's just. And I'm sure Jimmy G did it last year. Jimmy G played with the broken
yeah.
thumb, the hurt shoulder. He
Actually,
played through all of that last year.
yeah.
So yeah, and I'm sure he's done it much more than that in his career as well. So as much as you would like him not to be sore, I just think it's, part of what happens playing the sport of football. And I'm sure there's other games we didn't know about the soreness, but he was exceptionally sore before the game too.
Yeah, I don't know if they made it they wanted to make how do you say, like, a highlight of making that statement, making sure that they tell the media he's sore. Because one of the other things I saw, and I think Jesse Naylor was actually the one that posted it, was the 49ers only have one more position after putting Elijah Mitchell on IR. They only have one
Yeah,
more IR spot. So credit to Jane for
they
showing me
have
that
two
one. But
more. They can bring two more guys back.
after Elijah Mitchell, because
So
from
if they put Elijah Mitchell on IR, right?
mhm,
If they bring Elijah Mitchell back, besides him, they can only bring one more person. And that other
that's what I'm saying.
person, the assumption that the other person is Javon Kinlaw. And I remember the exact tweet you're talking about because
Yeah.
Jesse was talking about in reference to Lance,
Hmm.
Mitchell, and Kinlaw. And I'm assuming you would like to talk next about.
Dun dun dun. Yeah. But yeah, man, because if that's the way it's gonna go, there's only one more spot. It's gonna be for Kinlaw or Trey Lance, because Elijah Mitchell has already taken up that 6 to 8 week window for the IR. in my eyes, you don't even mess around with it. Trey Lance he's showing us all the signs, right? He wants us to see all this stuff, all the development he's making. It looks like you want to say something. Go ahead.
No, my bad, my bad, my
Oh no,
bad.
you're good. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I won't tell
So
you what I was doing, but I'll tell you what I was doing after.
okay.
It's a little streaming technique. Actually, I'll just say it because now it sounds like I was doing something weird. So I had the momentary lapse where I had to yawn.
Uh-huh.
And so when I have to yawn and I'm in like a public setting or whatever, I'll just
Uh-huh.
take a really deep breath and just look like I'm just blowing out air. And
Yeah.
so like that's the only way I can release the yawn without the body actions because
Yeah. Yeah.
sometimes it's an involuntary relapse, right?
Yeah.
And in a
100%.
lot of ways, a yawn is a giving off a very disrespectful connotation. And in my case, this was a total involuntary relapse, and I didn't want to disrespect you in any
Oh
sort
no.
of way because especially when we're having this engaging conversation right now. So yeah, that's what was happening there. Sorry for that
No.
entire
No
little
worries.
yeah.
No worries, guy. So okay, let me see. What was I saying? Trey Lance. Yeah, one
You
more
said he's
spot for
showing all the signs.
yeah,
All the
he's
signs.
put
That's what you were
I
saying.
feel like he's specifically putting it out there for us to see. He's putting on the show. He wants us to talk about it, put pressure on the organization to make sure that he has a chance to play this year. That's how I feel. Especially if, like the Dolphins back in the day where what's his name? Why am I forgetting Greasy? I'm forgetting his first name right now. Not Brian.
Bob Greasy.
Bob Greasy. There you go. I know it was a B. But when I can't talk now. Bob Greasy came back with the Dolphins to win the Super Bowl after he shattered his ankle, same thing or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I think Trey Lance is showing us all the signs. He's kept us in the development, in the loop the whole time and posted it for us to see. So from his standpoint, he wants to come back. And our standpoint, I want him back. I'm a Trey Lance guy, but I love what Garoppolo's doing. And I was excited and I was super pissed off when Kyle Shanahan did this to us because I still blame him for putting Trey Lance in that position. But I understand the decision that was made on the play that kind of was a factor too. But I'll let you go, bro, because go ahead.
Yeah. So that's all interesting. I see this topic a lot. I don't see any way Trey Lance can come back and start for this football team. I mean, Garoppolo would have to get hurt or something would have to go horribly, horribly wrong with his play. And even if that happens, I just see where this football team is and where they are with Garoppolo and certain things that he does that Trey Lance doesn't do consistently, at least from the little we've gotten to seeing him. I
Mm-hmm.
perceive that he doesn't do them consistently. I can't see that's the thing. It's so hard to talk about him. I can't even say fairly that he doesn't do it consistently because I've seen like 5 examples of him doing something like that. Like,
Yeah.
what do you do? Well, how can I say that? So that's what talking about him is so
And
difficult.
then
So I think
the play
where
calling
things
too.
are from that standpoint, I just don't see how they can replace Jimmy Garoppolo at this point, especially with Trey Lance. So from that standpoint, I get it. From the entire PR perspective, I didn't think of that at all. In terms of Trey Lance trying to show that he's ready to make the fans say something to the organization, that's a very interesting thought. I think it deserves a lot more exploration. I definitely didn't have the perspective to think of that. I think that's really interesting, and maybe it could be something there. I'm not sure. Now, in terms of him coming back in general, I think him coming back in general is beneficial because the dude just needs to play football. He's just ridding himself opportunities of playing football, even coming back and practicing for him and getting live reps against the defense and stuff is really, really good. Because all he's been doing is just off-season mechanics tweaking, throwing. He's been doing this for 3 straight years now. At some point, he's got to implement what he's doing on the field and get comfortable growing from the field. Because right now, as you can tell, even when he is playing, as much promise as he's shown, as excited as we all are about him, we all have a clear understanding that there are ways that he needs to keep growing and getting more polished before he's where the Niners need him, what the Niners gave up for him to be. And so
Yeah.
all of those things are true. So because of that, I don't think this year it's a possibility, but I'm not averse to him coming back if the opportunity is there for him to just practice and get the live reps and go through the scout team. But I think what's most likely is that he comes back strong, healthy. He remains going to the meetings, staying with the football team. He goes into next year as their prospective starter. And I think they bring in some sort of veteran contingent policy. Maybe someone who is, respected enough that, like a Jacoby Brissett, where they'll be looked at as a backup, but a guy that that, hey, if things aren't going exactly as we thought, given, he's still a wild card at this point. That's the thing. Lance is a wild card that, we all think can be good, but there's still a chance that, this thing doesn't work. And I don't want to be like, because I don't want to believe that. I think he's going to be great, right? Like, that's
Yeah,
what I'm the fan. I want to believe that. But there's that possibility. So I don't think they're going to just have him come in and it's going to be him and Purdy. I think they're going to have to hedge their bets a little bit, and they would be
yeah.
foolish not to. And so that would be kind of my best guess of where the entire quarterback situation is. I know I covered a lot and I talked
There's a
about a
lot to
lot of
cover.
different things. Right. Some
Yeah.
probably completely moot to what we're talking about, but that's just what my brain does sometimes.
Well, because really this stuff ties into the whole offseason as well. Like the whole play calling standpoint, like you said, to begin with, we only have a few games to go off of. Not only that, the play calling that was made during those games gave us a small indication of where he was at as well. And I think that
Yeah.
was, like Kyle Shanahan just kind of
Yeah.
jumping the gun and being scared because of how good this defense was in training camp. So I think that played into it. And so he was super conservative with Lance. Go ahead. Sorry.
And no, that's just an honest point. You just have to be honest with that point. Kyle Shanahan called the game like it was a quarterback that he was handholding a little bit. And
Yeah.
like, it's, and in regards to the running thing, I'll say this because a lot of the running thing gets, conflated into number of attempts, all of this. I look at it just using the quarterback as part of your run game. And by doing that, you're setting up the pass game and trying to make it easier for him when he does throw the ball. Because you're trying to, having the quarterback in the run game changes the fronts you get and changes the front. And now
Yeah.
defenses can only do certain things in the back end. They now have to devote that extra guy to the run. So now you're kind of confident on what they can do. You can paint a clearer picture and make it a lot easier for a guy to, read it out and throw it. And, Lance, as smart as he is, he's shown at times a little bit of a hesitancy when he sees it to throw it. So you're trying to, usually when a quarterback is hesitating, the perception people get is that they're not 100% sure of what they're seeing. And so you're trying to paint as clear a picture as possible for the quarterback, where when his footwork lines up with where he needs to go with the ball, he can see it and deliver it. And so you're seeing what running and doing that for a quarterback and having that running element has been doing for Justin Fields. Now, what it did for Jalen Hurts in terms of his development, what it did for Josh Allen, Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson, Robert Griffin III, all these different quarterbacks, the way you're able to use them by using their legs. As the offense starts with them having this read element and you're making them a part of your run game. And so in my opinion, it is so good for quarterback development. If you're not having to make them drop back, like we're seeing it with Zach Wilson right now. To me, the fact that they can't run him, where they can't just simplify it, where they can't just run a quick read option with him, simplify things and make things easier.
Yeah.
And we're seeing where he's having issues with his polish, where he's not seeing the field, then mechanically his feet are not lining up with where he needs to go with the football, which is leading to inaccuracies. But then he's also having to play the game from the pocket and make decisions against late safety rotations and all of this without really having this run element to, if I'm in 3rd and 4, a lot of teams are going to think that we can still run the ball. 3rd and 4 is still a rundown, in my opinion, especially if the quarterback is part of your run game. So, the variables of all of this changes. And so, to me, actually having a quarterback that can run, I think it's the best development formula, having them be a part of the run game. And so, I know we're going to get into then the conversation of, well, this guy ran 8 times, Lance ran 12 times. Well, this guy ran, in the C gap, in the D gap, and Lance ran in the B gap, in the C gap. Or this guy, ran a run with 2 guards pulling, and then this guy ran a run with the tackle kicking out and, both guards just double teaming up the field. Like, we're going to do some sort of thing like this to do the comparison. To me, the reason I brought it up is just to say that the element of having the running is beneficial to developing the quarterback on the whole, because it allows them to compete. Like Justin Fields, you look at him, right? He's doing an incredible job in every one of these football games, but the first 6 games showed you that Justin Fields is not ready to compete in the NFL and win you games from the pocket yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
But now, as he's growing doing that, you can compete in every game with Justin Fields at quarterback because of his running. And
Yeah.
that's kind of the point to me. And that's kind of what they tried with Trey Lance. Now, to me, the scarier thing is that his running has maybe not looked as impressive as
Yeah.
what we
Yeah.
expected. It looked a
Yeah.
lot better in the FCS, I'll tell you that. He's not looked as explosive. He's not maybe looked as strong and big, and he's
Yeah.
not maybe made people miss at the same rate that I thought he was. Now we're comparing the FCS to the NFL, so it's a massive comparison. But that would be the one thing I would say that's maybe the most disconcerting thing. But otherwise, I think everything's been on track. And he's kind of checked every box and been as advertised. What Trey Lance was promised to be has been exactly that. He's been mature. He's been, carried himself with the utmost, everything A plus intangibly. His teammates like him. Every one of those things has lived up. And, the issues in terms of his accuracy at this point and all of those things have also lived up. So there's been no surprises here. It's just about putting it together.
100%, man, because at the end of the day, I'm fans of these guys as people too, man. So I love the way that this organization brought a dude in that meshes very well with the team and the fans and everything like that. But I know you probably got to go soon, bro. So I don't know where the hell 40 minutes came from. That was really quick, I swear.
That was awesome, man.
That was
Dude,
super quick.
you got a hell of a show. We'll do this again. I really enjoyed talking ball with you. We have a smooth, mellow vibe going, and I love these like just calm conversations where we just get to chop it up. It's actually my
Yeah.
favorite part about doing the content. I just can't find enough people in a day to talk to me about football. And so
Yep.
I love when I find people that are just, willing to just go on and on after it. And so I appreciate you for
Yeah,
having me,
bro.
and we'll do this again. And
Hell
good
yeah.
luck with your channel. Good luck with everything. And I'm sure we'll talk soon.
Yeah, bro. Keep in touch. Let me know if you want anything in the future as far as your platform, my platform. We have each other's email, so we'll talk
You
about
got
that.
it. And now yeah, for sure.
All right, guys, everybody, we're gonna let Vish go, but go check him out on the Vish Kumaran show, man. Do you got whoops. I didn't know he was gonna dip out like that yet. But if anybody would like to call in, I still got some time if anybody wants me to throw the link in the comments real quick. But thank you to Vish, man. That was great. You guys go check out his show. I don't know what he's got coming up next, but he has a great show, great mindset towards football. I love it, man. So that's definitely why I enjoy having him on the show, and it was an honor. But I'll still go through some of the I'm going to go through the comments real quick, but I'm going to go through some of the topics that I still have. Randy Daytona, thank you. And thank you all for being here. I really do appreciate it. Like I said, if anybody does want to call in, I'll throw the link in the comments. But Randy Daytona says, one day last season, Ambry said he was back. Anyone else remember that interview? I don't. I was pretty bad about stuff last year. I stayed on with with all the live streams and stuff like that, but a lot of the clips I missed, especially like when you're at work and stuff. Some of that stuff kind of falls under the radar. But let me see 1 second. There it is. Let's see what the next topic was, because you know what, let me just kind of feed off what Vish was talking about a little bit there, because when it comes to Trey Lance, man, the way I see it, is I would bring him back as an insurance policy. You know, it's kind of ironic. Jimmy Garoppolo was the insurance policy for Trey Lance, and now it's kind of coming full circle. So I would just do that. I would not start Trey Lance, but like Vish was saying, if not anything else, get him reps with the scout team, or just get him reps to practice. This dude has been in the meetings, you know. And I was going to tell Vish this. I know that Trey Lance wants to be back. I know he wants to play. I'm an athlete myself, so I know this from the athlete standpoint. At the end of the day, we want to be back on that field as soon as possible, whether Trey Lance cares if he's the backup or not, which I'm pretty sure he has the understanding. He seems like a humble enough kid to where he would understand, like, if I do come back, it's going to be me as the backup if any emergency were to happen. But if nothing else, at least I get to have reps and at least get to help myself get better, and the defense can get better, because of course this defense struggles with mobile quarterbacks. So that would be a great look that Trey Lance could give us in practice. So that's some of my thoughts on the Trey Lance stuff. Get him back. I would, you know, Javon Kinlaw, if we're going to save that last IR spot for either Trey Lance or Kinlaw, I'm going Trey Lance, man. This dude is already walking. He's throwing and stuff like that. He's been in the meetings, like I said, all that stuff, right? Kinlaw over and over again. I'm sorry, guy, but you've shown yourself to be too big of a liability, man. You could be playing well and all this and that, and then, you know, I hate to say it, man, but it's just the reality of the situation. This is not to poke fun at him or anything, but he just gets fluid in his knees randomly, stuff like that, man. So it's too big of a liability. I would just have Trey Lance come back, save that spot for him. I saw some of you guys say great show. It's not over yet, but thank you. Guayaba says, I just caught the show, so I'll definitely rewatch it tomorrow. Hey, appreciate it, man. That's why a lot of the stuff I state at the beginning of the video, I tell people, whether you catch this live or not, please like, subscribe, all that stuff. Really appreciate it. Turn on the bell notification so you guys get all the notifications when I go live. Frank Hannes says you have to bring him. I completely agreed. From what we saw from Brock Purdy in that Chiefs game, I don't think there's any choice at this point. Alberto Soto says he there for a reason, brother. That is the plan. And this is the thing too. I was gonna ask Vish about this, but like we kind of ran out of time. We only had a certain time frame that he could be here. But I think the organization played it well. I don't know what their plans are exactly. You know, from the very beginning, they ruled out Trey Lance. They said he's not going to be back till next season. He should be good to go for next season. And I think that was part of the plan, just to keep that pressure off Garoppolo. And if Trey Lance were to come back, great, right? And I think that's the perfect way to do it, because, you know, Garoppolo's already getting question marks thrown at him because of this lack of points that we scored in the last game against the Saints, and really in a few other games as well, right? We had a really great game against the Cardinals. Outside of that, the offense has been kind of lackluster, kind of playing below par of what we think they should play. But yeah, man, I think the organization has been playing it really smart with keeping Lance out of the question when it comes to that stuff. But Albert Soto also says, he brings up a good point about Armstead, man. We should be seeing him back this week, so that's great news, right? Can't wait to see Armstead back and see what condition he's in, how good he feels. Hopefully that plantar fasciitis, I know it's tricky and can linger, but hopefully it's just gone, man. Hopefully this long wait, I forget how many weeks it's been, but hopefully it's just gone. He's 100% and we don't have to deal with it anymore going forward. I hope that's the way it's going to be. And you know, if you have to, get him some Dr. Scholl's. What's that? What are those commercials? The Are You Gelling? You guys remember those? Guayaba says Kinlaw is constantly hurt. Got to feel for him, but he may need to try somewhere else. Yeah, man. I hate to see it for him, like you're saying, but it's just the reality of the situation. Randall Riley says, you lose Jimmy G later in the season, then we're deep shit without Lance. So definitely keep a spot for him versus Kinlaw. 100%. I agree. And I haven't really gotten to hear anybody else talk about it. So I would love to hear like some of the other content creators. I still got some stuff to go over. So I want to get their thoughts and opinions and see their perspective on how they feel about it. But I feel like the overall consensus is going to be pretty similar all the way around. I did see one person say that they disagree with bringing Trey Lance back. So interesting to me. But yeah. Brian Culp says, everyone come back. Alberto Soto says, I just like and subscribe. Hey, bro, I appreciate it, man. Thank you very much. Let me see. I'm trying to attack the comments right now. I'll get you guys going in here. Emiliano says, folks walking out like Miami Heat fans in the finals. Come back, y'all. It's not over. Yeah, 100%. Like I said, man, if anybody wants to call in, go ahead. I probably got like another 30 minutes I can spare. But if not, like I said, I do have other topics, and I do, man. I guess I'll talk about some news real quick, just in case, so you guys don't think I go MIA, man. But I got some really bad news today that my grandfather, who I was really close with, he passed away in his sleep last night. So I might be going to California. I don't know if I'm going to get to take any of the gear with me. So if you guys, I'll be posting whether I'm going to go live or not. But if you guys see me kind of go MIA for a few days or a week or so, it's probably going to be for being with the family and the services and stuff like that. But Brian Culp says, I don't think Armstead or Kinlaw will be back this year. Armstead has 2 bad feet. He might pull it together for the playoffs. Well, he's already supposed to practice tomorrow, and he's expected to be back 100% and not miss a practice this week. So Armstead is set to play against the Dolphins. He did have that hairline fracture in his other foot outside of the plantar fasciitis. So, yeah, there is that, but he's already set to come back. Whether he's going to stay is another thing. And this is why I don't understand why the 49ers didn't go and attack for another defensive tackle like Ndamukong Suh, and they let that fall to another NFC opponent in the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't understand that. Yeah, like Frank Hanna says right here, plantar fasciitis stuff doesn't really go away. It sucks. That's the thing. So it doesn't really go away. I don't know what the time frames are on those. Depends body to body, but it doesn't really go away for the most part. But hopefully it does, man, because you never know. I get weird joint pain here and there, man, and it just randomly goes away. So we'll see how that goes. Emiliano says, condolences, my man. May he rest easy. Yeah, really, that's what I prayed for, man. I just hope he's at peace and that he has a good journey to the other side, man. I've been watching a lot of stuff like on Netflix and stuff too about this dude that he's a medium, and he connects people with their lost loved ones. So, that stuff always gives me hope that I'll get to see my other relatives that have gone, get to at least feel their presence on the other side. But thank you, Emiliano, as well as Randall Riley. I appreciate it, man. Thank you very much. David Nick News says Armstead's hairline fracture is healed by now. No pun intended. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So he's good to go, Brian. The thing is Kinlaw. I haven't heard anything on Kinlaw whatsoever, man. Haven't seen him at practice or any of that type of stuff. Albert Soto says, rest in peace to him, man. I feel for you. I lost my uncle not too long ago. I feel the pain. 100%, bro. That it's never fun. It sucks. But on the bright side, I took a trip to California in June, went to go see both my grandparents and stay with them for a week. And just because we kind of saw this stuff coming, they gave my grandfather 6 months, and I didn't really, I knew that would probably be the last time I got to saw him, but you kind of underestimate that stuff or kind of take it for granted a little bit, even though I kept it in mind that was maybe going to be the last time I ever saw him. It ended up being that case. And so my grandma's alone right now. Well, she's going to be with family, so I'm going to go and try and be with everybody as soon as I can. And Randall Riley gets back to Ndamukong Suh. He says they tried. He just chose Philly. Hope it's his loss. Hopefully, man. I think that team is really young. And I think they're going to kind of fall off. When you have a close game with the Colts and you lose to the Commanders, I don't think I'm too afraid of you. They've shown where even with a dynamic quarterback like Jalen Hurts, that they can lack in offense as well. So that's very promising. It's not like the Commanders. The Commanders have a good defense, but they're not the 49ers' defense. And that's going to be another thing too, going into the Dolphins game this week, man. That's one of the things that I want to look for is I feel like this defense hasn't gotten to see another one of like another good offense that they've played against outside of the Chiefs. So they played a really good quarterback against the Chargers and Justin Herbert, but outside of that, I'm ready to see how this defense stacks up against a good offense like the Dolphins. Sheldon Richardson is available. We've been talking about that for a long time, Damian, actually. And I know you talked to David McNew, so you guys have probably been bouncing about that back and forth. But yeah, Sheldon Richardson, that's another guy to look for at D tackle. So they brought in Janoris Jenkins, so they're not completely done making moves. Hopefully, they still have a shot. Man, and watch the Eagles go and sign him too. Randall Riley says Green Bay ran rough shot over that Philly D line last night, so maybe it's for the best. Green Bay ran rough shot over that shot, I'm assuming. Yeah, I was trying to watch that game. I didn't get to watch it too much, but I saw a few plays. I didn't really get to analyze it very much. Alberto Soto says the word out there in Miami is that they look like sharks, but we are going to remind them that they're just a fish that the defense going to go fishing and have them for dinner. 100%, man. I hope that's the case. Here's the thing about the Dolphins. If you guys haven't heard already, they are going to be missing Teron Armstead, their left tackle. So that's a crucial position when you want to protect a guy like Tua Tagovailoa. It's kind of hard to say his name sometimes. When you want to protect him, especially from some of the hits that he's taken this year against this monster D line that we have, and your left tackle is going to be out for the game, that's probably not going to bode well for you, man. So yeah, we can take huge advantage of that. Careful with the screens, hopefully Hufanga comes up with another pick six off a screen this week. We'll see how that goes. Johnny Basement says, hey, brother, I'm just dropping in to support you, a fellow YouTuber. I'm a diehard Jets fan and run live streams myself. Thanks for Robert Saleh, bro. Keep it up. You get to 1K, my man. Hey, bro, I appreciate it, man. And you guys, if you guys want to go check out some Jets content, go check out Johnny Basement then. We're going to have to link up at some time in the future, and I'm going to check out your content. And if we play the Jets at any point in time, or if there's anything interesting that goes on during the off season or something, we're going to have to we're going to get linked up on the channel, bro. So appreciate it. And just sub to your channel, my man. Likewise. Well, thank you very much. And I'm going to go check your channel out and sub up too, bro. I appreciate it, man. Right, your loss. We lost to Uncle this weekend. I was hoping the Packers could win it in honor for him maybe this weekend. Yeah, man. I feel you, bro. Condolences to you and right here, Alberto Soto as well, man. Since you guys lost your uncles as well, so condolences. My heart goes out to you guys as well. That's always tough. Johnny Basement, thanks for subbing up, stopping in. Team Kelly says, rest in peace to your grandpops, brother. The last time I went to a native funeral, different tribes surrounded the casket and singing their native languages for a whole 24 hours. Yep. The wake. Yeah, the wake. Yeah, so we're gonna I don't know when I'm going to California. My lady just wants me to take off. I wish I could just go and do it now, but I'm gonna kind of time everything to where the family and not put myself in too much debt as well. But Bosa should flip to the right side since Tua is left-handed, and with the O-line hurting, it should be a good defensive showing. Yeah, 100%. And this is the thing too. Bosa rotates sides, so he's going to get to play whichever side he wants. So yeah, I could definitely see that happening. And I want to see, Drake Jackson attacking a smaller quarterback like this, man. That huge wingspan that Drake Jackson has. I feel like we haven't seen him really produce very much in the last couple of weeks, and really get as many snaps as we thought he was going to get. So I think this could be the time, man, with that huge wingspan, smaller quarterback. Yeah, I would love to see him bend Tua over and spank him. What do you call it? Not 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 literally, but metaphorically. But I'm gonna let you guys go, man. If you guys got any last comments or questions, let me know. Um, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and close out the show right now. But I appreciate everybody tuning in. Please don't forget to stop, like the video, subscribe, and turn on your bell emoji for all notifications. I think that's what you call it, an emoji, but that's what it looks like. Randall Daytona says real quick before we stop the show. Oh, sorry. We got Randall Riley first, real quick. Get those hands up, D line. Get some tip passes with Shorty Tua. 100% do that, man. Take advantage of that short stature. No offense to anybody who's a little shorter than 6 feet. I'm not 6 feet, but yeah, take advantage of the shorter stature. Great show, says Randy Daytona. Sub's gonna shoot up Wolfpack. Hey, bro, I appreciate that, man. And you guys are a part of that. So I love it, dude. I love all the support I've been getting and all that stuff, guys. So thank you very much for being here. I really do appreciate it. I'm gonna block this bot right here if nobody has done it yet. Johnny Basement says Miami has no defense, slow Tua down, and Niners should take care of the Finns. Great stuff, bro. Yeah, man. We're gonna talk about it later too, in another video, but I was going over the highlights and stuff like that the Dolphins had, and it really seemed like the run game. Well, as it sits right now, as far as I know, Jeff Wilson might not play, and Mostert as well. I don't know what the status is on them yet, but to begin with, it seemed like any success that the Dolphins were having was in the pass game, and two of their scores really, if you pay attention to when they just played the Texans, two of those scores really came off two turnovers on the Texans side of the field. So as long as the 49ers can play mistake-free football as far as letting the Dolphins get turnovers, then I feel pretty damn good about this. Shut the Dolphins offense down. They're playing a lot of they're passing a lot, and that's where they're having a lot of their success. I didn't see the the run game being as big of a factor as I thought it would be, especially against the Texans. And even Jeff Wilson Jr. was utilized as part of the pass game as a receiver out of the backfield. So, and that was like the one highlight that I saw of Jeff Wilson as well was a pass play. So that might not be very promising for the Dolphins, but I like it for us. Team Kelly says Drake Jackson said he's been getting doubled lately. Yeah, man, and that's crazy. I think they're alternating doubling Bosa and doubling Drake Jackson. So they definitely feel the threat from both of those guys. Them as a tandem, I think, is going to be huge in the future, and maybe rolling into the playoffs as well, man. So I can't wait to see it, dude. I love everything that I've seen from Drake Jackson so far. He's made his couple mistakes, and I've seen those, but nothing too major. And I love the way he's able to catch up to quarterbacks from behind and trip them up and stuff like that. So I love what I'm seeing from Drake Jackson. Can't wait to see more, man. Randall Riley says, going to be hard to double team with Armstead back. What a huge difference it's going to be. Yeah, hopefully, man. Hopefully, that's the hope. Wishing on a prayer. I don't know what you call it. David McNew says Finn's going to be a hard game. Hopefully Shanahan can handle his disciple, and he better, man. Hopefully, the Shanahan coaching tree gets put in their place, just like Sean McVay. And yeah, I think I feel pretty damn good about the Dolphins having to travel from the East Coast all the way to Santa Clara And let's get Candlestick back, by the way, and let's get back in Frisco. But I feel good about the Dolphins having to travel over here and play against the 49ers, who can beat you in a lot of different ways, man. So I know a lot of people are scared, but I like our chances, man. I think this defense can kind of minimize what the Dolphins are going to be able to execute. Team Kelly, it's ironic says, or Team Kelly says it's ironic that our Armstead is back while their Armstead is out. That's their best alignment. Yeah, yeah, 100%. When they said Armstead was out for the Dolphins, I originally thought they were talking about Eric Armstead. I was like, what the hell? Then I realized they were talking about Teron Armstead. So yeah, totally. Jets dropped 40 points on Miami with 5 rushing touchdowns. My Jets need y'all to win. Hey, we'll do it for you guys, man. So got the Jets fans on our side as well. So that's dope. We're gonna put our all our hopes, wishes, and prayers together to beat the Dolphins from across the NFL. And really, this should be a pretty heavily watched game across the league from all the fan bases. So I think all eyes are going to be on this game this week. These are 2 contenders that I think is going to be like must watch football. So I can't wait for it, man. Randall Riley says, gotta love the irony, sucks for them and great for us. 100%. But yeah, man, love you guys. I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you very much. And I hope everybody has a great night. I'm going to go ahead and close out the show for now. Don't know when I'm going to go live again. I'm still kind of in teeter-totter of when I'm going to leave and stuff, like I said, to California. So maybe I'll stream from out there on my phone or something, but we'll see, man. But like I said, thank you guys for being here. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell notification for all notifications on your way out. Everybody have a great night. And my Niner gang,